I'm Kaitlin Soulé, a therapist who's been working with parents and kids for over 10 years. And today I'm answering some of the internet's biggest questions on why some kids mask their ADHD and what parents can do to help. What is ADHD masking? Masking is a necessary part of kind of the human experience. We all do it. For people with ADHD, masking is even more intense, and oftentimes it's necessary in order for us to hide our ADHD symptoms enough to function well. The you that shows up, to work is different than the you that's on the couch at night watching a TV show. Like right now, sitting in this chair, I wish I could just get up and move a little bit, but I can't because I'm filming a video. Masking is the thing we put on to cover up our ADHD symptoms, and it's exhausting. At the end of the day, we burn a lot of energy wearing that mask. Why do some kids with ADHD hide their symptoms? The reason why kids with ADHD hide their symptoms is the same reason adults with ADHD hide their symptoms, because we need to oftentimes in order to function, in order to do the things that are expected of us. And unfortunately for kids with ADHD, they're constantly being asked to fit into spaces they don't really feel like they fit into. They have pressure from their teachers, maybe from their parents and their peers to behave a certain way, and that can be really hard. So that's where the masking comes in as a protective factor. Can ADHD go undiagnosed because of masking? Yes, and oftentimes it does, especially in girls and people of color, because the cost of letting your ADHD be seen is oftentimes really high. Where we might also see this come up is for kids who are highly achieving. In other words, they're not necessarily having struggles in school, they're doing pretty well academically, therefore their ADHD symptoms go unnoticed. But what I want you to remember is that just because their ADHD isn't as visible as some other kids, it doesn't mean it's not there, and it doesn't mean it's not deeply affecting them. Masking can actually really keep kids from getting the support they need. How can parents tell if their child is masking ADHD symptoms? First, I have so much empathy for this question because it's called masking for a reason. We don't know our child is masking because we don't know what the signs are. So this can be really helpful to understand what the signs of masking are. The key to understanding if your child is masking is looking for the places that the mask is off. And the 4 areas that I would look at is first, is my kid showing up different at school than they are at home? For instance, is my kid's teacher saying they're doing great at school and then they come home and they seem to have a really hard time, whether they're crying easily, they're getting very overwhelmed by their homework, or they're having a lot of emotional outbursts. That can be a sign that they're really struggling and they're expending a lot of energy all day long at school, masking their ADHD symptoms. Secondly, pay attention to what your child is avoiding, and these are usually situations where they're not able to mask as well. This could be things like trying new things. That can be really hard for kids with ADHD. Another thing is they might not want to be involved in social situations because it feels really hard to mask their symptoms there. And you're thinking as their parent, why? That would seem so fun. But to them, it's just another space they have to have their mask on, and that's exhausting. The third thing you want to pay attention to is your kid more anxious than normal, and especially at night. So pay attention if your child is feeling anxious at night, having a lot of worry thoughts. That might be a sign that their anxiety is coming from this place of having to mask and feeling really burnt out. The fourth thing we want to pay attention to is my kid self-medicating? As we know, ADHD brains struggle to access dopamine. So you might see an increase in behaviors like really being addicted to their phone, they're scrolling social media often, maybe using drugs or alcohol or nicotine as a way to manage their symptoms. So if you're noticing any of these symptoms, it might be a sign that your kid is masking ADHD. Oh, and by the way, we have a lot more content on our channel, so go and check it out. We've got great resources from ADHD and IEPs and so much more. How does ADHD masking affect kids' mental health? One of the main ways I see this show up is in poor self-esteem. Kids who are masking their ADHD are always working so hard to keep their symptoms hidden, and they're worried about what might happen when they can no longer hold up that mask. Like, what if people find out that I'm really just a hot mess? Kids with ADHD are also more likely to have comorbid mental health disorders, things like anxiety and depression being the most common. And you can kind of see why this is the case, because it's like the perfect conditions for an anxiety disorder to develop. They're spending so much energy hiding and masking their feelings, and they're not getting the support they need to develop the skills and tools to manage their anxiety better. And when it comes to depression, well, we already know that people with ADHD have a harder time accessing dopamine, which is the neurotransmitter that helps us with our mood. And on top of that, they might be feeling shame from feeling like they never quite fit in, or getting negative feedback from teachers or peers about the way that they're performing or behaving. This can really lead to increased feelings of depression for kids. And the final thing to know is that because they're masking their ADHD symptoms, sometimes they get misdiagnosed. They get diagnosed with anxiety or depression, and that's really just treating the symptoms when really the issue was ADHD the whole time. Underneath the mask, kids with ADHD are still struggling with all the same things other kids with ADHD are struggling with, only they're not getting the support. How can I support my child who is masking their ADHD symptoms? As a therapist, I like to suggest 3 steps to this. The first thing is identifying and knowing what masking is, because you can't help them if you don't understand what it is. So just watching this video and finding out more about masking is a great first step. The second thing is you're going to want to advocate for your kid, because this is the type of ADHD, when it involves a lot of masking, that oftentimes goes missed and underdiagnosed. You're going to want to talk to their teacher or their school administration about the possibility of getting them evaluated, or talking to a psychologist can be a really helpful first step as well. You might even need to advocate for your child by educating the school on what masking is, because they might think your child's doing wonderful in school, but you're the only one who truly really knows them and sees them in all the different spaces. And the third thing is be a safe haven for your kid. I think it's really important to let them know that they can drop their mask around you, especially when they're at home. This can look like saying yes to an extra movie on the weekend, or letting them just kind of veg in their room for a while when they've had a long day. Letting them know that you love them just the way they are, and that brains are different and theirs is beautiful just the way it is. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you found this helpful, we actually have a lot more content like this on our channel, so make sure to subscribe. By doing so, you can help our mission at Understood, which is to make sure that the 70 million people with learning and thinking differences like ADHD and dyslexia can thrive.